Welcome to H2K Infosys. H2K Infosys is a e-verify business based in Atlanta, Georgia, United States. We provide 100% job-oriented, instructor-led, face-to-face, true live online software training programs. It also includes access to cloud test lab with software tools. We provide live project for you to work on. We also provide assistance with mock interviews, resume preparation and review, and job placement assistance. H2K Infosys is trusted by so many students across the world. H2K Infosys provides world-class services in IT training with real-time project work for corporates and individuals, special IT training for MS students in the United States, software design, development, QA manual and automation, performance testing and maintenance, IT staff augmentation, job placement assistance, and tech support.
So here, once after retrieving the result set, we are externally creating an employee object and we are storing each and every data to our employee object. And after that, we are querying the address object, address details, and again, we are setting the data for our address object. And finally, we are preparing our employee object. This is fine as long as you have 5 or 10 columns. Let us say you have 100 columns in a table in which you are supposed to retrieve whole data. That means you need to write all this particular setter commands on your own. And with respect to our JDBC util, so this class is only working with respect to your employee. Let us say we have 50 tables and you need to write 50 different Java files and you need to set the data like this for 50 different methods. So that will be just like a pain. As a Java developer, our concern is only to work on data which is available with respect to objects, but not with respect to column level. And one more issue with respect to our JDBC. You are writing the queries in SQL language, or you can say currently you have written the query select star from address where address ID equal to ADS ID. So that means a Java developer was supposed to know how to write the SQL queries. As a Java developer, you have a lot of work that you are supposed to do with respect to your business logic, and you need to handle all the client requests, and you need to set all the configuration files. You need to work on your application servers, deployments. So you can't really concentrate on writing the JDBC queries. And it was not at all required for a Java developer to know the details about Oracle or PostgreSQL or some other database. Only thing we are worried is to get the data by executing the queries, and we want the data in terms of object representation, in terms of the data availability, in terms of column level. So currently, you have executed the query. Okay, that's fine. Let us say after 2-3 months, your project manager or architect has decided and he has mentioned that we are not going to use Oracle database and we want to switch it back to PostgreSQL database. Let us say you have written some callable statement and you have created a function call, but with PostgreSQL you don't have functions available. Sorry, you don't have procedures available. So that means whatever the code that you have written with respect to procedure call for Oracle, it won't be useful for PostgreSQL. You are supposed to convert that to a function call. So that means whenever you are writing the code with respect to database, it is just like the vendor specific code or vendor specific SQL statement or vendor specific procedure or function calls. So that means when you want to switch to a different vendor, you are supposed to change your Java code as well. Nothing but you need to develop, you need to build your jar file or war file one more time, and you need to do the deployment again. See, the purpose of writing a properties file is we don't want to deploy our code each and every time whenever we want to change the properties. But you can write the database queries within your property file and read on the fly, because we'll be having a lot of database queries if you have the front-end kind of website application. And also the last issue, or also the most issue with respect to our JDBC is it won't provide caching or clustering kind of support directly. Caching, nothing but, let us say if you have executed one statement within the same session, and if you want to execute the same statement, same SQL statement within the same session, then you are going to contact the database again instead of getting the details from the cache. And also the clustering support. Let us say your database is wide enough and you can contact the database by using 3 nodes, Oracle RAC kind of stuff or Postgres nodes kind of stuff. By using your JDBC, it's not at all possible to provide clustering kind of capability. And also the connection pooling. Connection pooling, nothing but, just now only we have discussed about the issue with respect to opening a connection and closing a connection for each and every time. Connection pooling, nothing but, let us say this is our Java code. Currently we are asking the driver manager to provide a connection which will internally contact the database and provides a connection to you, and by using this you will be going to contact the database. Let us say our work has finished and you are going to break the connection or close the connection. Then he'll terminate the connection between your Java client and your DB code. Let us say from your second JSP page, you are going to ask one more time. This will be going to establish one more connection to the database. Let us assume that we are opening and closing the connection for each JSP page, because we'll do in that manner only. The reason for that is we don't want to hold the connection for too much for a long time, because we won't be expecting the client to submit the page within 1 minute or 2 minutes. Let us say that page consists of a lot of information for the client, and the client was supposed to enter a registration page and it will take 5 minutes. You are not supposed to hold the connection to the database for 5 minutes. That's the reason you are going to open and close the connection for each JSP page submission. But the problem is, whenever you are opening and closing the connection, your driver manager was supposed to make a call across the network, and he need to maintain the connection until that point, and he was supposed to use a lot of CPU cycles to close the connection as well. So instead of that, Java has provided another mechanism, which is nothing but your connection pooling mechanism. Connection pool, nothing but during your application startup, you will be going to mention how many number of connections that you will need. This will be specified based on your website handling. Let us say I want 50 connections to be available upfront to my application. So whenever you have asked for a connection, your driver manager won't contact the database directly, and your driver manager will contact the connection pool. And your connection pool will provide a connection to you, which will be returned back to the Java code. And your Java client will make use of that connection, and it will contact the database. Once it has finished the work, it will close the connection, but your driver manager won't close the actual connection to the DB, and it will return the connection back to your connection pool. During the application startup, nothing but before handling any of the client requests, a connection pool will be created by your application server based on certain configuration. And that connection pool, it consists of, let us say it consists of a properties file, which consists of information about all your database details and also number of connections that are required. So during the startup time, it will contact the database and it will open all those connections. Let us say 50 connections you have mentioned. It will hold all those 50 connections, and whenever a Java code has requested, it will retrieve the connection from the connection pool. There are two types of connection pooling mechanisms available, C3PO and DBCP. These two are the most used connection pooling mechanisms. And among this, C3PO is used by our Hibernate. C3PO connection pooling, DBCP connection pooling. See, you can still work your DBCP connection pooling alone without using Hibernate as well, even for C3PO also. But your Hibernate internally make use of that, and you won't be able to expose any kind of code directly to C3PO. If you want to work, you can directly download a jar file, c3po.jar file, and you can write some properties file, and you can make use of the connection pooling on your own. So currently we have seen a lot of issues with respect to our JDBC code, the raw JDBC code. That's why normally people won't suggest, or your project managers or architects, they won't suggest to use the raw JDBC code. The connection handling is heavyweight by using JDBC code. Normally, in Java, we'll specify everything in terms of objects. In database, we'll specify everything in terms of table data. So we need a kind of mapping between your Java object and database table. See, ultimately, we need the data corresponding to a row, or if you want, some mapping kind of information from the database, just like how we did from employee to address table. And we want to fetch both the information. But ultimately, we want the data to be available as an object within our Java code. That's the reason they have defined one another mechanism, which is nothing but object relational mapping. Object represents your Java object, relational, nothing but your database stuff, and mapping, you are going to map between your Java object and database table. See, ultimately, what are we doing with respect to our login page or display details page? We are displaying the data corresponding to our employee Steve. We are retrieving all the information from employee table, and finally we are displaying the data in terms of Java object. We are taking the data in terms of Java object, and we are using that object to display the data into the front end. So ultimately, we need a mapping between your object and database. Nothing but you need object relational mapping. There are several open source frameworks that are available for object relational mapping. Hibernate, and so on. Hibernate is also another object relational mapping. Hibernate is the most used object relational mapping ORM framework, you can say. The recent release, not only the recent release, the previous release, 3.5 versions and all, it is JPA compliant. JPA, nothing but Java Persistence API, which is a standard provided by our Sun. JPA, it is a replacement for EJB entity beans. Not sure whether you guys are aware of EJB or not. EJB 3.0 is a lightweight framework, and with 2.0 they have entity beans, and with 3.0 they have removed entity beans and they have used JPA. So our EJB was released by the specification team. So your Hibernate was now the JPA compliant. I have written all the statements, whatever that we have discussed right now. So that's why I haven't written there. Hibernate, it is a open source framework. In the sense, some community team, they have developed the Hibernate code, and you have all the access to the source code as well. And if you want to suggest any kind of changes, you have the capability of posting them in the forum, and they'll take that into the account and they'll make the changes if at all if it is required. So the open source framework, nothing but it was developed by a community, hibernate.org, org nothing but organization. Just now only we have discussed about some of the issues with respect to our JDBC code. Switching between vendors is complicated with our JDBC. But when we use Hibernate, it will maintain the relationship between your Java object and relational database. That means it's not at all required for us to write any kind of database queries, or you can say SQL queries. But if we didn't write the SQL query or database query, how can we issue a command to the database and retrieve the data? As a Java developer, we are only interested to write or request any kind of information in terms of objects only. See, our communication at any point of time, it will be done based on objects only. So even for the database also, you are going to deal with only objects. Your Hibernate will write all the native database queries. So that means if you want to retrieve some information, let us say you want to retrieve the data from employee table and you want to specify the employee ID as 2. So normal case, you will be going to write select star from employee where employee ID equal to 2. This is how you are going to write. But when we are using Hibernate, it's not required for you to write this kind of raw query, raw SQL query. You can only specify that I want to retrieve the data for my employee object and the employee ID property is 2. In terms of objects only, we are supposed to communicate. That's the reason I'm using the employee Java class. In terms of Hibernate, this will be called as entity bean. Until now, we have specified as employee as Java bean. In terms of Hibernate, this will be called as an entity. So whenever you want to retrieve the data from employee table with employee ID 2, you are going to inform to Hibernate that my employee bean is mapped to the employee table and my employee ID column, sorry, my employee ID property is mapped to employee ID. Only you are supposed to do the mapping and Hibernate will be going to write this query for you and Hibernate will fetch the data and provide the data in terms of employee object. So that means you won't get the data in terms of result set format and it's not required for you to write any kind of legacy code like retrieving the data based on column details. You will directly get an employee object and you can simply call employee dot get employee first name, which will fetch the data directly to you. But only thing that you are supposed to do is you need to write the mapping between your Java entity and database table. Once you have written this particular mapping file, your Hibernate will do all the work for you and it will directly provide you the data in terms of an object representation. The next one is Hibernate provides a complete separation of business logic and persistence layer. Persistence, nothing but permanent storage of data, nothing but your database. That's the reason I have asked to follow the approach called, which we have seen in our login page. See here, you have written a DAO separate layer and the DAO access won't have any interaction with the business logic code. This is your business logic code. Here only you are going to design to which page it was supposed to traverse, either it has to go to the success page or back to the invalid details page. And with respect to your login processor, you are going to decide which method to call. Either I'm supposed to call insert data method or update data method or retrieve data method. You are going to decide only at this level. The DAO is nothing but data access object, which is nothing but your Hibernate. It will consist of all the data access methods. Your data access methods are nothing but insert, update, delete, or retrieve. Normally at the database level, they'll be called as CRUD operations. Create, read, update, delete. So you'll have same kind of methods within your Java code as well, and you'll be going to specify that as DAO object, nothing but your DAO layer, data access object layer, which consists of all the methods for your database access. And with one DAO, you are supposed to write the methods corresponding to one particular table. If you have a lot of table access, let us say you want employee, address, customer details, billing details. So for each and every table, you are supposed to write a separate DAO class. That is a design pattern for DAO. DAO means data access object, which consists of all the methods related to CRUD operations. And one more advantage with respect to our Hibernate. Normally, when we want to use any kind of frameworks, take a look at our servlet itself. Whenever you are writing a servlet, you are supposed to extend HTTP servlet and you are supposed to override do-get or do-post methods. So that means it was framework dependent. The servlet code was framework dependent or specification dependent. Without extending the HTTP servlet, your servlet won't become or deployed onto your container as a servlet module. But with respect to your open source framework Hibernate, it's not at all required for you to extend or implement any kind of classes or interfaces. You can just make use of the classes or interfaces that are available within your Hibernate, and it's not at all required for you to extend or implement any kind of classes. And we have discussed about one more disadvantage with respect to our JDBC. Whenever we are changing the vendor, we might need to change our database code as well, whatever that we have written in our callable statement or any kind of statement. But with respect to ORM, we are not going to write any kind of database queries. Who will be going to write? Your Hibernate will be going to write the database query and it will send the command to the database. So that means you can inform to the Hibernate that I want to use database Oracle, or I want to change the database to PostgreSQL, or else database to DB2. Whenever you have specified this information, your Hibernate has the capability of generating the particular SQL query corresponding to your database, and it can hit the database with proper SQL syntax. Only thing that you are supposed to do is you just need to inform to Hibernate that you want to use a different database or what kind of a database that we want to use.
So many of our students have given testimonials on how our training programs are. You will find them on kudzu.com and on our website H2KInfosys.com. On our website H2KInfosys.com, you will also find more detailed information on who we are, the courses that we offer, what each course covers. Also, if you're interested in a demo program, please register on our homepage on the left-hand side. Just give us more information about yourself and we will send you a link for a demo class. The demo class is absolutely free. Experience our commitment by just attending an orientation workshop at no cost. Our team of faculty and advisors are here to guide you with the right information. If you still have more questions, please feel free to call us. Call us at 770-777-1269. This is a United States number. If you're calling from the UK, call us at 020-337-17615. You can also email us at training@h2kinfosys.com or h2kinfosys@gmail.com. Thank you for watching our videos. We wish you a great career in information technology.